What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by special guest Dodgers legend Eric Gagné. Eric, I want to say from the get-go, this is a bucket list interview for me, so I really appreciate your time. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Pleasure to do that with you, buddy.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I got a lot of questions I want to get into. I've got some rapid-fire stuff at the end, but I want to get in your journey. But let's just start here. Can you believe it's been 20 years since your 84 consecutive save streak?
No, I cannot believe it. That's when the Dodgers did that last week, it was unbelievable, super special, and it's like you pinch yourself. First of all, just the fact that it happened is unbelievable. The fact that it happened with that Dodger Stadium, with the Dodgers, a franchise like historical franchise, and it's been 20 years. It makes me feel really old. It felt like it was probably a year or two ago, but it was very special. My kids were able to see it, and I was very fortunate. The Dodgers are amazing first class organizations, and to invite me back against the Diamondbacks, which was the team that blew that save, is pretty special.
For you, like 20 years now, you have this ceremony, you're thinking about it. Like, is there anything new that has crossed your mind as you reflected on that accomplishment 20 years later? Maybe just the fact that nobody's even sniffed it as far as in those 20 years?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. That's you want every record to be broken just for the greater good of the game. But I mean, with the new rule change and everything else, it's going to be a little harder to do. And now I'm just fortunate. I'm in the record books. Like I said, from the Dodgers, just the best years of my life were with the Dodgers. The best memories were probably in that in that 3 year span that I've had the 84 in a row. So it's just very. It feels great. I can savor it a little bit more. I think when I retired, when I played, when you play, you kind of focus on what you're trying to accomplish, getting outs one pitch at a time, all that boring stuff. So you don't realize what you're doing. And no, it's pretty special. I'm really, really fortunate I was able to do it that way, and have the guys behind me, the defense I had behind me was pretty special. So just I was very lucky and did good. So to me, it's still unbelievable that I was able to accomplish that.
Well, I want to go back to the beginning, sort of growing up. It's funny to be talking to you this week because the Dodgers were in the midst of the Major League draft. The Dodgers drafted a guy in the first round who is a two-sport athlete. And a lot of the talk coming out was, hey, this guy was a high school quarterback and he played baseball. And as I was preparing to interview you, it in some ways, similar story, hockey player, baseball player. Is it fair? I was reading back some old interviews. It almost sounded like baseball was something you did to pass the time when it wasn't hockey season. Was that a fair assessment?
I wouldn't say pass the time. I love baseball, trust me, but I'm a wannabe hockey player. My life was around hockey. My dad told me, I got to pick another sports and everything else. So I picked baseball. I love baseball a lot. I mean, I remember only had like 20 games a year, and then you had one or two rain out. You start, feel really like, okay, my season's going to be very, very short this year. But no, it's like I think like what they did, two sports athlete. That's what I would recommend all the kids. Just play other sports, enjoy. I wish it wasn't so much travel, baseball and all that stuff. Like you play golf, play baseball, hockey, football. You got to do it all. And you see guys like Mookie Betts, the real athletes, they can do it all. And I think it's getting more towards that way. So it's pretty special.
What was your scouting report as a hockey? Were you a skill guy, or were you more of a make up for your skill with extra physicality?
Yes, just make room. Just create some good real estate. You know what I mean? Like just kind of let the skill guys take over. Just give them, make some room for them to score. So I was a defense righty, so I like to hit a lot. That was kind of my goal, just make some room.
I love it. I love it. So you realized that despite your love for hockey, in one of those interviews, you said, hey, you realized baseball was going to be your ticket. You're drafted in the 30th round by the White Sox, but you don't
Yep.
sign. What happened in that moment that you get drafted, but don't end up signing as a undrafted free agent a year later with the Dodgers?
Yeah, so it's a little different now. There's only 20 rounds and stuff like that. Back in the days, it was draft and follow, so it's even farther down the line. So I didn't know. I was a little disappointed because I really thought I was going to be top. I thought I was going to be top 10 rounds, and then the White Sox picked me. So it was a little I'm not gonna say like depressing, but it was not exactly what I thought. And but my dad told me, he goes, you know what, you got drafted. You're a baseball, you're a kid from Montreal. You should be a hockey player. You should be happy. So the reason why I didn't sign because they weren't really offering that much money at all. And 30th round back in the days, it wasn't there anything that was gonna be. Oh, I can't turn it down. And I wanted to go back to school a little bit. I didn't really know what I was gonna do, so I just got draft and follow. And then they really followed the whole time. And then I think I don't know what happened exactly with the next year's draft because I wasn't drafted that year, and I think they didn't put me back in the draft or some technicality like that or whatever. And then I ended up signing with the Dodgers, which I think for me was the best thing that's ever happened because with the Montreal connection with Jackie Robinson and everything else, and the whole history of the Dodgers and Montreal Royal, so it was pretty cool. And I don't regret that. So they drafted me they actually signed me as a free agent, not the summer, the next summer.
Got it. Got it. So you debut in A-ball in 96, but then 1997, you have Tommy John surgery. And I know we're sitting here talking in 2024. Everybody knows about Tommy John, then the success story. 1997, Tommy John surgery, not exactly the same as it is now in 2024. I'm just curious, when you go back to that, you've only played in A-ball, you 30th round pick, you end up signing with the Dodgers, then you have Tommy John surgery. If you were kind of being honest, like, what did you think was possible in that moment? Like, did you really still in that moment after Tommy John surgery believe that you were going to have a career and make it to the majors? Or is that a
No,
moment where doubt kind of creeps in?
I mean, the doubts, I never thought I would get to the big leagues. Even if I was in A-ball, I wasn't really thinking, oh, I want to get to the big leagues. I was thinking more, okay, I'm lucky, first of all, French Canadian playing baseball professionally, getting paid to do that. And it was really hard when I was told that I need a surgery. And then I wanted to quit. I mean, I wasn't sure about what was going to be in my future. Do I need to go back home and just kind of, find my way to normal life? Do I need to go to school, back to school? What am I going to need to do? So I was a little bit down, but I was able to talk to guys like Darren Dryford. The whole medical staff of the Dodgers really talked to me about it. Say, hey, you know what? You got the best doctor in the world doing it. We have really, really, really good rehab people here. So just kind of go with it. Be patient. Don't get upset. You're a good prospect. I wasn't really a big prospect when I got basically when I got the surgery. So I turned myself into a prospect a couple of years later. But it just told me to be patient, and I think that's why I said a lot of guys like the medical staff was so good. It's still the best probably in the big leagues. And to me, I just trusted them, and they gave me everything I've gotten is because Dr. Job and because the medical staff. I really followed what they had to do, and it was long 2 years though.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So back in A-ball in 98, double A in 1999. And then by the end of that season, you're at the major league level, 5 starts, 2.1 ERA. You end up making 43 more starts over the next couple of years. It's funny to go back and look because, even as somebody who watched the Dodgers, I don't, because of how great the highs were with you as a relief pitcher, I wonder how many Dodger fans would remember that you made 48 starts for the Dodgers before you ever a reliever. I'm curious, over that stretch as a starter, like, could you pinpoint certain things that experience, some successes, some failures, maybe ended up helping you as a relief pitcher by the time you got into that role?
100%. I think the failure is part of the game. We all know baseball is a game of failure. As a pitcher, experience. I mean, you can't buy experience. You can't just say coming out, even double A. I was in double A and I came to the big leagues. I'm like you said, I was 2-1 on a 2.10 ERA. I thought I was going to be amazing in the big leagues. As a starter, I failed. I had a lot of ups and downs. And it was difficult, but I think what I've learned the most is learn how to pitch, learn how to locate your fastball, learn how to struggle, learn how to, get yourself out of the hole that you dug yourself. And I think for me, that was the main thing. Just learn how to pitch, learn how to control your emotions. And then once I became a closer, that was really helped my style because that was really my personality. It fit me perfectly. And then,
Yeah.
Jeff Shaw retired, there's an opening, but I think mainly it's just kind of, understand your pitches, understand that location is a lot more important than the velo, which I think it's coming back a little bit in style. But I think for me, it was, the Dodgers had a very, their culture is more like, okay, let's get some innings to the pitchers. They need to go ups and downs of, the peaks and valleys. A pitcher, normal pitcher, depending on their age, is going to have to go through. And I think for me, it makes me a lot more wisdom as a pitcher. I think
Okay.
you learn how to pitch a little bit better. I think that's what helped me as a reliever to start a little bit more innings.
Yeah, and you have this crazy transformation. I'm going to get into the closing stuff, but I mean, you go from a pitcher who's got a 4.5 to 5.5 ERA those last couple of years as a starter to all of a sudden a relief pitcher who's got a 1.2 ERA. And I know there's some simple stuff where it's like, hey, when you've only got to focus on throwing 20 to 25 pitches,
Mm-hmm.
you can pitch a little bit different. I mean, is it that simple that your stuff just played up? Like, what was the transformation like in that offseason,
I
basically?
think my first of all, my mentality. I think as a hockey player, we talked about hockey. I think as a hockey player, my mentality to go full board, 100% effort. That was really better for me, for my body. I think my body connected better. I mean, it fired all engine. It was way better. I think the fear of failure, I think, really got my adrenaline going. That was another aspect of closing where I like to be the last guy out there. I want to be
Yeah.
like, give me the ball when there's pressure. That's what I wanted to do. And I think for me to be able to do that was great. And just it just fits my personality better. I think, all out, go 3 outs. They don't get to see you that much.
Yeah.
You kind of go out there, like you see guys maybe 4 times a year. I mean, that's a big advantage, I think. And for me, just to focus on first pitch strike, trying to get those guys out as early as possible in the count, that fit me. I think and I was able to, I felt better. My body felt better as a closer.
Got it. Okay. Well, that was 2002, 2003, 2004. Undoubtedly one of the most insane runs a pitcher in baseball has ever gone on. You mentioned Jeff Shaw is the closer. He retires. An opening pops up. You end up earning that job. 1.97 ERA in 82 and a third innings. You make your first All-Star game. The next year, 1.2 ERA, 82 and a third innings. 2004, 2.19 ERA in 82 and a third innings. Before we get into anything, can we talk about the fact that you threw 82 and a third innings 3 straight years?
That's
Like, how bizarre is that?
that's crazy. I don't understand how that, and I think all 3 years, was it all Jim Tracy all those years too? I think the manager.
I'd have to go back and look, but it
I
could have
think
been.
might have been. Anyway, just it's crazy that happened that way, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's bizarre. There's so much stuff in baseball. You can look at numbers and like, oh, that's kind of weird. So that was really weird. I was 82 and a third every single 3 years in a row, because it's not like you can dictate exactly
Right.
when you're going in or not going in. We knew a safe situation, but it's pretty different. It was weird.
Well, an 82 and a third is a big number to see for a relief pitcher. In
Yeah.
2024, these guys are like 55 to 60 innings at most. For you to throw that many innings 3 seasons in a row, there's a durability piece to your story that I think, at least in that 3-year stretch, probably doesn't get talked about enough. Because in order to have 84 consecutive saves, you've got to be healthy for a lot of innings.
Yeah, first of all, save opportunities. We didn't score a lot of runs. I mean, it was like we had great pitching. I remember Kevin Brown getting mad because his run support was very, very low. So I got into a lot of games, and if you look, I didn't go that many multiple innings as well. I think I had like 74, 75 outings, and then I got 84 innings out of that. So it's it's a lot. I don't understand how I was able to get through it. The adrenaline, you talk about the fan base. And when I got up, my adrenaline rush was amazing. That's the best drug in the world, is adrenaline. And I think just the fans getting me up, I was able to go many, many, many days in a row. And, it's just, I think it's more adrenaline than anything else. And staying healthy, you could say healthy-ish, because at the end of my career, I was a little, banged up a little bit. So, but it was amazing. It was a fun run. It was a lot of weird numbers, a lot, like you said, 82 and a third and all that stuff. So it's kind of different, but I was proud to be able to take the ball every single time. Was a safe situation. I was ready to go, and now that's what I told my manager. They trusted me with the ball, so I didn't want to let my team down. So I wanted to take the ball every time I had an opportunity.
Yeah, 2003, kind of the magical year. 55 of 55 in save opportunities as part of that 84 save stretch. You struck out 45% of the batters you faced. Not just I think it was 55% of outs, but 45% of all batters you faced ended in a strikeout. And this may seem like a silly question, but I'm curious for you, and I'm sure you've had time to reflect on it. Like, what did it feel like when you were on the mound? Like, not the welcome to the jungle, not the running out, but like when you took a deep breath and you were on the mound and insert player X was standing at the dish in the midst of that 55 for 55, 1.20 ERA. Like, what did it feel like to be Eric Gagné?
It felt different every time, but the confidence, like you say, you start slow. It's not like I had the same confidence from the first save to the 84th save. It varies. There's days you feel better. Your body feels different every day. Your mind feels different. Travel days are different. And you go out one night, you're a little hungover, maybe a little bit the other day, and the day games and somewhere so it's always different. But the mentality, I think, I felt confidence, a lot of confidence going in, because I knew I had a good streak going, not just on the safe streak, but just I felt good. I felt like I was. They're making pitches. I felt like I was dominant. Mentally, I was really strong. I was really confident about what to do. So it just kept getting better. It kept better mentally. It kept getting better. I didn't doubt myself. I knew I had the stuff. I knew I had the defense behind me, and the managers, the coaches put me in the best situation for me to succeed. So it was special. It's hard because it's hard to explain, because you say, "Oh, I'm in the zone." What does that mean? Sometimes it just means that you can focus quicker. You make your pitches, and a lot of times I made some pitches. I had a lot of defense behind me, a lot of luck too, and everything went my way. I would make. It's not like I threw perfectly. I missed some pitches, then they weren't hitting it. So, or if they did hit it hard, I had defense behind me. So everything clicked. Everything was perfect. It was pretty special to be part of it. Now looking back, especially the way we're teaching guys, like you talk about the strikeout, like I wasn't even trying to get strikeout. 45%, I think it's ridiculous, because you're just trying to get the guys out as early as you can, and try to make sure that you hit throw the ball on the bat make them swing early, get one pitch, one out. That's kind of what you're looking for. And striking out that many guys it's unbelievable. So it's crazy. It's crazy because I really wasn't trying to get the strikeouts. I was trying to get ahead, and I put myself in a situation to strike people out, and my stuff to kind of dictate what I was going to do with them.
You mentioned going out sometimes being a little more hungover. Is there a point in the streak where you kind of had to tame yourself down a little bit and say, hey, man, we're at 70 straight. Maybe we got to make sure we don't know if I'm going to get called tomorrow.
Oh, you keep doing the same thing over and over. So that's
Yeah.
so it's like it depends on what you're trying to like. If you believe in the streak, if you believe in like if you're very routine oriented, which I was, but
Yeah.
it was not like there's a couple times I was a little more hungover just because I had like my family was in there. I had a bunch of friends in Montreal that came down. So it's a lot. Like you go out at night, you're like, oh, I want to go to dinner with them. I want to have a couple of drinks, and you have a day game the next day. So there's a couple times it was a little iffy. I should have probably stayed in, but these are good memories now.
Were there any days in that streak where you were like, this might be the end of it?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because there's a lot of times like I felt terrible in the bullpen warming up. Either like my body didn't feel right, I wasn't throwing strikes, my stuff wasn't on. I doubt myself a lot. I go into game focus a lot more. And the crazy thing is when I felt good, the last save I had, I felt amazing. I was throwing the ball super hard. I was throwing the ball exactly where I wanted in the bullpen. And I probably got lazy mentally. It's just kind of what happens sometimes. You kind of get lazy mentally. You kind of drift a little bit. You don't focus as hard. And that's when I had the blown save. So
Yeah.
most blown saves is because you lack of focus. And I was able to focus for almost 3 years in a row. So, I mean, it's just little details like that.
Was there, I mean, this may seem like a dumb question. Was there any part of relief when the streak was over? Obviously, in the moment you were pissed because you blew the save, but like 2 or 3 days later, was there a moment where it's like, okay, at least I don't have to think about this streak. I'm not going to get asked about this streak. Was there any part of you that felt that?
No, it wasn't bad. I mean, I felt good. I didn't feel good. I was disappointed a little bit, but we won the game. I'm not sure exactly. I think we talked about it a couple times ago about another podcast about who. I thought it was Adrian Beltre. He had the home run, but it wasn't that. So we won the game. So I was happy, but I was relieved a little bit at the end. So okay, I'm not gonna have to answer that question. Start over again, and I did. I had a little bit of a streak after. But it was a little bit relieving, but it wasn't that hard because for me it wasn't really stress for me. I was just trying to preserve the win. I wasn't trying to save anything. I was trying to preserve a win that the guys played for 8 innings in front of me. They got the leads. I was trying to get 3 outs as quick as possible and get the win and get on the flight.
Okay, I've been quoted on this show, which is part of the reason I'm so excited to have you on, as saying that if I had one at bat and my life depended on picking a pitcher who was going to get an out, and I needed one at bat, and I could pick any pitcher from any era of all of Major League Baseball, I said I would take you at your prime. Am I crazy for saying that if I needed one out, I want prime Eric Gagné, 2003 NL Cy Young Award winner? Is that crazy?
Well, we got data now, so you can look at the data. You can look at everything else. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys I could put in there. Like for one out, if you need a strikeout or whatever, obviously I was, Billy Wagner, one of those guys probably, depending if you're righty or lefty. But I was dominant. I don't know, it was unbelievable. I still can't believe it happened. But
yeah,
I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. I was at the top of my game, and it was amazing. And I appreciate that.
Okay, I want to ask you about 2 moments and then a couple rapid fire questions. These are sort of key moments. You probably already know the very first one I'm going to ask you because I'm sure you get asked this in every interview. The at bat with Barry Bonds. And I want to set the stage here because I had to go back and look at the numbers to see just who Barry Bonds was. So 2004, it's April 16th. Bonds that season had an on-base percentage. These numbers seem unreal when you read them. He had an on-base percentage of 609 and a slugging percentage of 812. In 373 at-bats, he had 45 home runs and 232 walks on top of that. So we're talking about the highest level hitter maybe
How
ever.
many walks? How many walks was it?
He had 232 walks compared to 373 at-bats.
That's crazy. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he had an on-base percentage over 400 is good. He was over 600 for an entire season. And again, you're in the midst of the most dominant stretch of pitching, I would argue, maybe ever. So you have this matchup, and I know there's a backstory to the at-bat that happens on April 16th with the Dodgers up 3-0, runner on first. There's a backstory to what happens in this at-bat, right?
Yes, and then the good thing is that I think Fox Sports, back in the Fox Sports Network or whatever they did, I can't remember, the Best Damn Sports Show, I think.
Oh, yes.
They had Barry Bonds on it. They talk about the at-bat. So the way I remember is we're in Japan. We had the All-Star Tour in Japan playing against all the best All-Star or Japanese players in Japan. And I remember because Barry's got a little bit of a high pitched voice. Let's just put that nicely. He got a little bit of a high pitched voice, and I remember it was him and Giambi. I can't remember who the other guy was. They're talking about like, oh, these guys don't face me, blah blah blah. And I walked by. He goes, Gagne, are you ever gonna face me? I'm like, I'm a closer. I'm not going to go out there, and it's not about ego. It's about the team winning and everything else. But I said, if I do get in that situation where I can afford to face you, I can afford a home run or whatever, I'll face you. And then I can't remember exactly the exchange that we talked about, the rules. I know there was no changeup, and I thought it was one breaking ball, but he said it wasn't supposed to be a breaking ball anyway. So he said in the interview that he looked at me, and I remember looking at him. I wasn't sure if we had the deal on, because when he walked in, I thought we looked at each other and we understood, but it's not like we knew before the at bat we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But we did talk about it. I was going to face him, and then after that, he looked at me after the curveball, kind of weird. I'm like, all right, I'm throwing all fastballs here. And then we just kept going after each other. If you see Paul LaDuca kept putting the changeup down, and I wanted to throw the changeup. Trust me, he kept putting the changeup. I'm like, no, because I knew when I threw that curveball, I'm like, hey, maybe that's the at bat that he's thinking about. And I knew kind of a little bit, but I wasn't sure. So I threw that curveball. He looked at me funny, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So it's I was 0-2, and it just went after him, and that was epic. I mean, that was the best time I've ever had in baseball, literally, because you face the greatest hitter of all time.
Yeah,
there's
prime.
Yeah, and I mean, he's probably the greatest hitter I've ever seen, at least in my generation. And he dominated so much, and he changed the lineup. It was feared from up and down the lineup. You're thinking about 3 or 4, 5 guys ahead. Are you going to pitch that guy on deck or that guy on the bat right now?
Yeah.
Because of Aries coming up, and depending on your score. So it was unbelievable. That was the top of my game as well. So just for me to face each other and go one-on-one, it was pretty epic.
Yeah, you mentioned you go 0-2 back-to-back fastballs. The second one, absolutely a nasty fastball that catches the inside corner. And then you throw the curveball. The ump doesn't give you that strike.
It was a ball.
Okay. I mean, it was a great pitch. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. I've heard a couple people in interviews joke like nobody's getting that called strike 3 in San Francisco against Bonds in 2004. Count goes 2-2. He fouls one off. I mean, the home run is what it is, which is where this ends. The 99-mile-an-hour fastball that he pulls foul down the right side, yep. How does he get his bat around that fast on 100 miles an hour on an inside fastball?
Yeah, not just that fast. It was because he literally stood over the dish. He's low, right on the corner. I mean, he had maybe 3 or 4 inches on his knee to the the corner of the block of the home plate, and he just turned on it. And the way he hit it is ridiculous, because the sounds it makes when you Barry Bonds hit a ball was nothing I've ever heard before. I haven't heard Otani yet, so I'd like to see the difference a little bit, but. Guys like McGuire, Bonds, they just the ball sound differently. And for him to get, first of all, just to get to that ball, it was down and in. It was really hard. And then for him to keep it almost fair, because it wasn't that, it was far. It was like 560 feet probably. And then it was a foul by maybe, I got to look at the video. It felt like it was really 10, 15 feet foul. So just for him to keep the bat, first of all, put the head on the bat, the ball like that, and just to keep it almost fair. And then after that, hit the home run, which almost took my head off and almost took Eric Score's head off at second base, and it went out center field. So that was he's unbelievable. That's why people don't understand. And you talk about the walks. He only had 300 something at bats, but he averaged almost, I think it was 1 home run every 10 at bats. So you give him 2 more at bats, another 20 home runs. I mean, that's just like.
Yeah, he had 45 homers and 370 at bats. So we're talking a home run in less than like 8.5 every 8.5 at bats.
So he had 200 more at bats or whatever, and then you pitch around him. Remember, we're not just pitching to him; we're pitching around. We're trying to get the corners. So he's getting the best of the best of the best, and he doesn't see guys. So it's impressive. I mean, and it's in San Francisco. Yeah, and people forget that ball doesn't go anywhere. If you go at night during the summer, the ball just dies. So.
Well, and it was funny because as I was watching video, it reminded me this year when Shohei Otani matched up against Paul Skeens. And Skeens throws him fastballs and strikes him out like on a 101-mile-an-hour fastball the first at bat. But it's like the second time Otani comes up, it was a 100.1-mile-an-hour fastball. And what's hilarious is Otani basically hit it to the exact same place that Bonds did, dead center, straight away. And so, sometimes I love that like the best pitcher going against the best hitter, and Skeens won the first one there, and Otani won the second one. You got Bonds a few times. He got you a few times. So it's good stuff when the best matches up against the best.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what the fans want. They want to see the best of the best, and that's what we like to do too. I mean, we're playing major league. We're playing high school baseball. We watched the Barry Bonds of the world play. We watched all the greatest, and then to have the chance to face those guys and measure yourself against that type of caliber players, it's very, first of all, it's super humbling. You're there in the big leagues facing the best and the best, and then to be able to actually face them and have a chance to succeed, it's pretty unbelievable.
Okay, I got one more story that I want to ask you about because I think your success is obviously a large reason why Dodger fans loved you so much. But you kind of mentioned your confidence, your attitude, the way that you pitched as part of who you are, and I think that was the other thing that made folks like me appreciate you so much. And there's one other moment from your career that I think sort of sums up a little bit who you were, your persona on the mound, if you will. It was another matchup against the Giants. I believe it was 2 months later. The smile on
I
your
know
face
which one
tells
you're
me
talking about.
you know exactly who I'm going with this.
Yeah, is it
Michael Tucker.
yeah, MT. That's what I was gonna go, Michael Tucker.
So let me set the stage for people that don't know. So 2 months later, there's a play early in this game where he's running down the line. Jeff Weaver's pitching. I freaking love Jeff Weaver, but that's another story. And he shoves Jeff Weaver. And, whatever. There's a little dust up. It's Dodgers
covering
Giants.
first base, yeah.
Covering first base. Yeah. Sorry. And so he shoves, Dodgers and Giants, both teams are good. It's Bond's era. So, things are heated. You come in later in the game. Tucker's up. And 97, 98. The sad part is I can't find video of this moment anywhere online. Somebody needs to find a video of this and publish it. Major League Baseball, help me out here. But basically, it's not just that you threw 97, 98 inside, and Tucker thinks you tried to kill him. The quotes afterwards were like, it was just inside, But the thing about you that I loved so much was your response to this moment, which was you threw inside, Tucker stares at you or looks at you, whatever, and you literally rip your glove off, and you're like, let's go then. Come on out. Like the pitcher's not supposed to do that, Eric. Like in every situation, the pitcher's the guy that's retreating. You were the one that were like, hey, it's hockey time. Let's take the gloves off and let's fight. And then he gets held back. I mean, I'm curious, when you look back at that moment, you've got a smile on your face. Is it like, man, that was kind of awesome? Or do you look back and be like, we were all young and dumb at some point in our lives?
No, I mean, I knew he tried. Well, and I saw him because back in the days we were on the first base line, and I saw him come in, and I felt like, I'm not sure if he was intentionally trying to do that. I felt like he was reaching for his foot, stepping on first base, and then he ran into him or whatever. And I wasn't even supposed to pitch that night. I asked to pitch, and I was like, you know what, you got to
specifically because of that. You're like, hey, this happened. Get me in.
Yes, I said, I need an inning, and they're like, you don't need an inning. You pitched yesterday. I don't get it. So I'm like, hey, I need an inning, and then of course they gave me that inning, and I went after him. I didn't even hit him. I just went after him a couple times. I think I threw behind him and up and in or something. But I knew, because that was kind of a message. You don't try to hurt somebody on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, we're all competitors. We're all trying to win the ball game. We all want to, we're all trying to dominate, but you don't try to hurt someone. And I thought that was a little bit of a cheap shot, but it's all water under the bridge now. But that's the reason why I wanted to go in, like, kind of send a message, protect our players, and just your team, or you work together as a group. And I think for me that was I want to be out there. I want to send a message that you don't hurt our players.
I love it. Like I said, I think it's success and the attitude is what made you so beloved. Let me give you 4 rapid fire questions real quick answers, and then we'll be done. You've got a lot of accomplishments in your career. You have the single season save record tied. You have the 84-game streak. You have the Cy Young. You won a World Series with the Red Sox. Which one of those accomplishments do you think would you want to be the headline kind of in your baseball biography?
Boy, I think for me, I won a World Series, which I wish I would have won the World Series with the Dodgers. Trust me. Yeah. I mean, but I wish I would have won, not that one. I wish I would have won one with the Dodgers as well. How about that? Because I don't want to piss off the Red Sox nation. Yeah. Because, no, I think just getting a World Series to play all these years, and there's guys that played 22 years and never even got a chance to play, to pitch in the World Series. I was able to get a ring. So to me, that's a World Series.
Do you still have the goggles?
No, I don't. I think I have maybe a couple pairs that are in the Hall of Fame, but I don't have them now.
Okay. Do you ever, Welcome to the Jungle, your famous intro song, does that ever just come on a Spotify playlist for you, or does that song have a special place that you can't go there anymore?
I go there once in a while. I mean, I don't do it on purpose, but it is on my playlist. And once in a while, I'll come up and come back, and I get goosebumps still.
Okay, last question. If people haven't seen you, you're in great shape. You're looking really good. Okay. If the Dodgers needed an out tomorrow, are there days when you think you could still go get that out for the Dodgers?
Every day I think that. Every single day. I'm pitching Friday, so I got 2 more days. I'm pitching against a senior league here, so it's going to be fun. And I still think I could get guys out. But the next day, though, write me off. I'm out because my body, it looks good, but it doesn't feel as good as it used to.
I love it. I love it. Well, Eric, again, thank you so much for this. This has been a privilege. As somebody who watched the Dodgers in the 90s, 2000s, you're one of the best. I mean, obviously, you can see the Game Over shirt that I've got displayed behind me. So it was a great era of Dodger baseball, and you made it that way. So thank you for your time today. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
everything that you've got going on. Greatly appreciate it. I know folks can find you. You're on social media on Twitter, X, I believe, right? Anywhere else people can find you?
Yeah, everywhere. Just Game Over. I do Game Over podcasts. So just find me all over in somewhere.
Love it. I love it. Well, thanks everybody for watching. As always, subscribe and ring the notification bell below. That is Eric Gagné. I am Jeff Spiegel. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Dodgers.